You want to come say hi? You're just gonna stand there. Oh, that's sour. A lemon seed. Hold on, baby. You okay? Okay. We're back, and I'm joined today with my trusty pug Pudge. Only for a little bit though, because he doesn't like filming anymore. He had expressed to me that he was thinking about resigning from YouTube, but I said not to make any hasty decisions, and maybe we'll think about it during the holidays, but for now he's not into it. So you go down and I'm gonna stay here. You can go wherever you want to go. Ugh. I'm so sick of my hair. I need to cut it. It's too long again. Ow. And it's tangled. Welcome back to another video. I have one that is pretty straightforward. Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. This was actually supposed to be part of my... Sorry, I thought I heard a ghost. It was just my toilet. This was supposed to be a part of my night of plant to-dos that I posted, I think a few days ago or last week, I can't remember, but I didn't get to it, so I decided to just make it its own video since it had to be done anyway, and I was not doing a week of plant to-dos this month, and maybe not even next month. So today is the day that we are going to start prepping Christmas presents. I know it's not even Halloween yet, but this is around the time that I start thinking about Christmas presents, because if I don't do it early, or at least start prepping early, the stress level in December is just, it's way too high for what's going on up here. So October is the time. This year I am broke, so broke that my credit card really should have just turned to ashes by now. I've had a lot of big expenses this year. I feel like it's been one thing after another and I can't seem to get caught up. And it's just, it's bad. So this year we're doing the DIY thing. I had mentioned in a previous video that I was gonna be making those little paper, they're not paper mache, but they're like paper cutout plants. And I'll show you maybe in December if I can get to filming it. But I'm planning to do that, plus taking cuttings from my collection to gift to my family. So this video in particular is going to be me prepping the gifts specifically for my aunts. I have 4 aunts that I'm prepping gifts for. These aunts are very, very special to me. They were very good this year, and I do see them every year for Christmas Eve, and I never really gift anyone anything because I'm terrible. I always end up receiving gifts at that party, and I'm never the one giving gifts because in my head I still think I'm like a baby, like an infant, and I'm not old enough to be gifting gifts to other people. I don't know. I need to snap out of that because I'm 33. But this year is going to be different. I will be gifting some cuttings to my aunts who are always raiding my mom's collection. No shade, but yeah, my mom gets raided every time they come over, and it's really special though that we all kind of are enjoying this hobby now. So to alleviate a little bit of my mom's pressures in fulfilling plants for the family, I have sort of gathered a few plants here that I feel like I could take a good amount of cuttings from to start creating little bouquets of plants for my aunts. Without further ado, after the longest intro ever, or what has felt like it, let's get into the plants. But before we do, today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, and if you've been here a while, you know that I have been partnered with Skillshare for quite some time. If you guys don't know what Skillshare is an online learning community that helps you find ways to get inspired, learn new skills, and implement them into your life. The main reason why I recommend Skillshare is because you can learn things you're actually interested in that probably wouldn't be offered anywhere else, and the classes are about 40 minutes to an hour long on average, which is so good for people like me with a very, very short attention span. The first class I ever took on Skillshare was American Sign Language 4 years ago, but since then I've taken about 8 other courses, everything from learning how to use Final Cut Pro, up to taking photos of my plants and editing them. I would say that photography has probably been the most impactful for me in terms of creativity since I've been able to carry it into this plant hobby. And ever since I've been on Instagram, I would say that my most frequently asked question is, how do I edit my photos? The photography class that I really want to highlight is called Learn Mobile Photo Editing Apps for Beauty and Efficiency by Dan Rubin. So this class will teach you the basics of using apps like Touch Retouch, Screw It, Snapseed, and my personal favorite, Visco. And I am super excited to be able to offer this course for free if you use the link in my description box, and you'll also receive unlimited access to tens of thousands of additional classes for an entire month. So I am going to get set up here and we're going to get straight into the plants. So the first one, hey, I'm a hot mess already. The first one that I have here is my big Rhipsalis salicornioids. I think I'm gonna have to move back. Ooh. I cannot remember the exact date or time frame that I would have acquired this, but I do believe it was last year. I think it was last year, sometime last year. I don't remember it being cold or rainy when I picked it up, so maybe it was around the summertime of last year. But this thing was way bigger than it is now. I think it was in like a 5-gallon bucket or something like that, and I had completely uprooted it. I took a bunch of rooted parts of it out. I took a lot of cuttings and I gave them to everyone that I know. I gave them to my mom, I gave them to my grandma, gave them to all of my friends, and I was still left with a very hefty plant, and this thing is just non-stop growing. You guys can see, I think, some of that new growth coming in at the top where it's like really light green, but look at how massive it is, and it just doesn't stop. And you know, this is actually probably the easiest plant in my collection, I think. Sometimes I forget I have it because it's kind of just like sitting in a corner, and the only thing it needs is water every once in a while, but this thing actually holds on to a lot of water for a long time, so it's not really like I'm tending to it on a weekly basis. If anything, it's like every, I don't know, every 2 or 2.5 weeks that I'm really tending to it. And they kind of look like this when they're thirsty. They're super shriveled, but I think this is a rooted cutting, which is hilarious. Do you guys see that? It looks dead, but there's like roots. It was sort of just sitting on the top of the soil, and I think it had started to root. Anyway, in terms of the care for this one really quickly, I do have this in a large pot like this. Don't ask me where I got this pot. It's the coolest freaking pot ever, but it came with one of those outdoor flower things. My friend Nick gave this pot to me. So it does have drainage holes. It has quite a few drainage holes actually, and then it also came with this drip tray. So this one is growing with drainage. It has moved everywhere from a south-facing window to an east-facing window. It has lived on my shelf before. And right now it's sort of sitting tucked away next to a south-facing window, but is really not getting a ton of bright light at all, and it's doing just fine. So I did notice though that when this was sitting in my south-facing window, it was sun stressing a lot, and it was turning like sort of a burgundy red color, and I didn't really like the way it looked. I really liked the green on this, so I pulled it from the window, although I could probably put it back now that it's like full on winter here. Basically all that to say, it's sort of just lived and really thrived in any sort of place I put it in my apartment. It, you know, never once threw a fit. It never showed that it was unhappy. I will just say that if you're not liking the look of a sun-stressed Rhipsalis, then probably don't put it in front of bright light. So out of breath. I'm gonna start taking cuttings from this because she's just growing out of control. And I do think that I'm gonna start to take from this little area here because I know that it's gonna grow back. I do like the fact that it's trailing more, but these little things are starting to fall off a little bit more and I'm having to like pick them up off the floor. So a good haircut is needed. This time next year is probably gonna be this size anyway. So what did I say? I have 4 aunts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And grandma already has this. So I need to take 4 cuttings for my family. How about we do 1? Here's cutting 1. Hopefully I can get them sort of at the same size so none of my aunts think I'm playing favorites. 2. Oh, these new shears are so nice, you guys. 2. Maybe from the back here. 3. And maybe back here. 4. So that is 4 cuttings and it looks like nothing happened at all. I've actually propagated quite a few of these in my time just because I gave so many cuttings to family members and friends like I told you. For me, the fastest was water propagation. I know that there are people out there that are super against water propagating, and I think the reason for that is because from what I've read, they say that it forms sort of like substandard, subpar roots or like weak roots if you're going to transfer it to a permanent substrate and not just have it in water. I find that to be very false just because so many of my plants that you see around me were water propagated and I didn't really find a difference between something that was water propagated or soil propagated or perlite propagated. It's really all the same to me, but water prop has been by far the fastest. So if you guys are propagating these, I would let the ends sort of callus up just a little bit. So probably by the time that I'm done filming this video, this will be ready to go in water. Because the stem is so barky and so small, I'm not really worried about dipping it into a rooting hormone or like a callusing hormone. Typically we'll only do that for my really meaty stems. Like if I was cutting like a gloriosum chunk or like a Philodendron SP Columbia chunk, like something really big, or just some kind of anthurium chunk. But on something really teeny tiny like this, or even like a begonia, I'm not super worried. So anyway, we've gotten 4 nice little bundles here. So I'm gonna let this sort of chill out until the end of this video. The next one that I have is this Philodendron Milano chrysum, and I was going to keep this one to grow out for myself, but I think that I kind of just want to start over, and I think I want to start over from a bigger one. And the reason I say that is because I have tried to grow Milano chrysums very large, and no matter what I do, I just can't do it. I can't sort of come out of a certain size leaf. I think the largest size leaf that I've ever grown was maybe this big, and then it stopped and then it reverted. So I really just want to enjoy the large leaf Milano chrysum, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can buy one from Lauren, just because, I don't know, I'm not really trying to prove anything to myself, like, oh, I'm only gonna, you know, have it if I can grow it that size myself. I definitely have plants that I feel that way with, but the Milano is not one of them, just because it's been more of a frustrating plant for me to grow. And it's funny because I know a lot of people find this to be very easy and easy to size up in ambient conditions. I'm just not one of them. So I think I'm going to dismantle this and just cut these into 4 cuttings and then call it a day on that. But now I need something to put my very dry moss in. I think I should wet this moss first. I will be right back. Yeah. Is flailing everywhere. So now I have the pleasure and honor of untangling all of this moss. Okay, we have a lot of roots here, so I'm just gonna start chopping this. Let's do the top first. I have 1, 2 nodes up here, actually 3. So I'm gonna actually chop right here. So this will be 1 cutting, and then we'll do, this one's got another one kind of waking up. Do this cutting, which has its own entire root system, which is a great part about using a pole. And then we've got this guy, 3, and then 4. And then I've got this bottom cutting here, which I guess I can just stick back into soil, or soil. Yeah, I guess I can move it to soil, to be honest. It's established enough. I don't really want to put it back into moss. So let's do that. Okay. Oh, got my soil here. And I'm just going to, this one does have drainage holes. I didn't do this. I think this was Jing's pot. And I'm just gonna, where'd it go? Oh, here. Ow. I just ripped the leaf off. Now we have a stump, which is fine, because I was honestly just going to throw this on the bottom of my shelf anyway, and now it'll actually fit. So we'll see which nodes wake up, even though I told myself I am not taking any more propagations. Yet here we are. I'll keep this bottom cutting for myself. It's tricky when you're propagating plants to take into the States because they can't be rooted in any substrate, meaning if they pull it out of the pot, like those roots better not be stuck to that substrate. Like whatever you're transporting it in is truly just for the transport, and it cannot be like a rooted medium. So typically I like to just put all of the plants into like a moss bin like a couple days before, and I do have videos showing how I prep plants before bringing them with me to California. But for something like this that has already sort of like a massive established root system, I'm obviously not just gonna like stick this into water. So I probably will end up just putting this cutting back into moss, and because this one is pretty meaty, I will dip it into my callousing hormone. This is her. She is equal parts sulfur powder, rooting hormone, and cinnamon powder. And I'm not using the Ceylon cinnamon. It's just literally like the cinnamon that you get at the grocery store. But you can get sort of like, I think it's like that pure cinnamon or something. I think it's called Ceylon cinnamon. You can get it online or you can get it on Amazon. I'm just not pressed enough to use it. This regular cinnamon has been working fine for me and it makes it smell good, so I'm happy. Now I need to put this back into a vessel, which will be which one? We're just going to put it back in the same moss because I'm gonna have to take it out before I go anyway, but this will just be to keep it nice and comfy for the next month or the next 7 weeks, I guess. Okay, good enough. So here's one cutting for one auntie. I have 3 other cuttings here that I am going to just rinse off. I'm gonna let it callus, and then I'm also going to water propagate these. And the reason I'm gonna choose to water propagate most of these cuttings is, for one, I really love water propagating, and 2, it makes it a lot easier if I could just leave it in water until I go and then do the moss bin without it being attached to any substrate while I'm rooting it in the meantime, if that makes sense. So let me go rinse these off and then we will start cutting up some more plants. The next plant is this insanely long Philodendron fuzzy petiole that has not sized up for me at all because I have been obviously neglecting it. I do love this plant very much and I think it's quite cute as it gets more mature. So I do want to give this one some love. I just don't know if I want to keep the top or if I want to keep the bottom because it's already rooted. Or keep both. I could do 2 cuttings in one pot when I finally get it onto a proper pole. So let's do that. I'll keep the bottom and I'll keep the top because there are way more cuttings than I have on teas. So I'll cut it maybe here. Maybe I should move closer. You're like a million bajillion miles away. So here's my teeny tiny little bottom cutting. And then I've got this long boy here. So I'm gonna keep the top, and I really like that I've got some nice aerial roots already started. These ones should root pretty dang fast in water. I would probably give it like 3 days before some roots start popping out of here. So I'm gonna chop 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll chop here. So I'll keep this for me, and this new guy, hopefully he doesn't get interrupted while he's growing. And then I'll chop I'll chop 1 node for 1 aunt. And then maybe I'll give this 2 node cutting to mom. Oh wait, but now I don't have enough for aunties. It's because these ones are so close. Look how close they are. And I've got 2 here. Okay. So here are our 4 cuttings. If anything, I'll just root this one together and then cut this bottom one for my mom. Or I can give my mom the bottom, whatever I decide. But here are the fuzzy petiole cuttings. I'm gonna do the same. Oh, sticky. I'm gonna itch. I usually get itchy when I get like the juices on me, but I'm gonna be putting this in a rooting hormone or callusing hormone again. So let's let these sit out for a second with the Milanos, wherever they are. Oh, by the sink. Oy, oy, oy. The next guy is my very, very beloved Syngonium Chiapense. This one was a little bit harder for me getting started, but we finally sort of understand each other a little bit more, and now I find it to be one of the easier ones. So I love this plant so much, but it's growing a little weird. It's growing sort of out of control, and I feel like when I start over with this plant, what I would do next time is do 2 cuttings in 1 plant so that I can sort of fill it in. Otherwise, it starts to get a bit leggy. So I'm gonna completely take it out of here and do some cuttings, and we're just gonna start over because I'm just not really liking the way it's growing. Oh my gosh, that smells like a butthole. That smells like a butt. Oh, that smells awful. Oh my gosh. Why does pond smell so terrible sometimes? It literally smells like a porta potty. That just knocks the wind out of me, doesn't it? Look, hurt. I'm not gonna gag. I have a very, very sensitive gag reflex when it comes to smells. I really can't take a lot of smells. I'm fighting it. My eyes are watering. Oh my god, that stinks. Do you guys see my eyes? I feel like they're starting to swell up. Perfect. So here's what we have going on. We've got a lot happening here. I think I'm actually going to keep the top cutting for myself. So I need to cut maybe, oh, that's really tight. Okay, I don't know where to cut. It's, okay, you're fine. I think I'm gonna cut here. These petioles are really, really, not tight, like the internodes are long, but like the sheath is like grabbing onto the stem, so it's kind of hard for me to get in here and cut. Does that make any sense? I sort of have to cut at an angle like this. So hopefully that's enough stem and it doesn't rot. It is pushing out a bit of sap. So that top cutting is gonna be for me. And now I need 4 more cuttings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's do, what if we do these 2? No. Oh, no, I don't want the sap on me. It's gonna itch. Okay, cutting at an angle again. Cutting. Put it here so it doesn't drip. And then I think I'm gonna cut these 2 leaves together. So we'll do it here. Cut this guy. And then let's do here. This one. Ooh, this one's got its own little root system, which is good. And then we've got the bottom here, which honestly, I think I'm gonna leave. 1, 2, 3, 4 cuttings for people. And then I've got this one for myself, and we'll start with that and see where we go. But this one is bleeding a lot and it's all over my hands, and I'm gonna wash it off because I'm gonna get very itchy. Let's let those callus off, and then I'm going to start taking cuttings of this guy because it's not really sparking joy anymore, even though it is growing quite a bit for me now. It just, I don't know, it doesn't sort of have that same appeal to me like it used to. I think because I'm not really I'm not really fond of the growth pattern. I don't know, I'm probably just not even trying hard enough. But anyway, I'm sort of done with it, so let's just start taking some cuttings here. So we've got 1 top cutting, 2, 3 and 4. 5. I'm gonna just couple some of the cuttings that maybe only have 1 leaf. This one is still good. I'm gonna start these roots over so I can get some water roots. Okay, so we have, this one is a good size cutting, and so is this one. And then we've got like these 2 leafers, so maybe I'll just do like this together and then like this together or something, just to make it fair. I mean, they're gonna grow, so yeah. Luckily this one really has never had any pests. It's actually been quite resilient to pests, which is surprising given that these leaves are so delicious and juicy, but they just don't like it. And then the last one, my dear Burley Marks, variegata, variegated. I'm just over this growth pattern, so we're just gonna go for it, and I'm gonna chop. So I think I'm gonna keep this top for myself here. It's so hard because the growth comes from wherever the hell it wants to. So I don't want this leaf on my prop, so I'm gonna cut right here, I think, or maybe here. Keep this one for myself, and then we're gonna need 4 cuttings, so let's do 1. Oh my god, so sticky. Let's do it's so hard to pull this apart. 1. Oh no, it's rooted in here. We're cutting. Cutting. I don't like it. I don't like that. Nope. I don't like it. But if I separate it, will it grow? I could cut it down the center. I'm gonna do it. We're just gonna try it. And I'm just gonna cut down this way. Okay, that, and then this little growth point died, so let's just chop this away. And now I actually have a plant that I can fit on my shelf, and it's not massive, and it looks somewhat decent, and there's still a ton of growth points down here that are waking up. So hopefully this fills out nicely. The roots are jam-packed in here. I'm gonna have to repot this and do some root trimming since I cut off so much of the plant. But that is a problem for another me day, not today me. So here is cutting number 1, good amount of variegation. Cutting number 2 is really good. Cutting number 3, and then, oh no, I only have 3. That's not good. I need 4, but I don't really want to give this up because I quite like this one. Thing is I don't really think I can separate this anymore. Well, I probably could. I can see some growth points. What if I cut off here? Except this new leaf is growing. That's okay. Let's go like that. So I guess I'll just keep one of these. Maybe I'll keep this one and give this one to an aunt. So I am done taking cuttings for everything, but I kind of just want to show you what each of these little bouquets are gonna look like for Christmas. So we would have one, if I can get it out of here, one Syngonium Chiapense. We would do one, oh my gosh, we would do one of these cuttings. Why am I saying we? I am doing one of these cuttings of Philodendron Campos Porto Anum. So it would get one of those. I'm giving each of my aunts a cutting of Philodendron Splendid, Philodendron Fuzzy Petiole, Philodendron Burley Marks Variegated, Rhipsalis Salicornioids, a Philodendron Milano chrysum, and then a Scindapsus trubii dark form. So each of their little bouquets would look something a little bit like this. Obviously, I would arrange it a little bit nicer. And I'm also thinking of including maybe like a little potting mat or little scoops that I got from Jing. I'm just gonna have to buy some from her, and then I don't know, maybe like a bottle of CalMag or something. And I think that should be it for my aunts. Mom, if you're wondering, yes, you do have a Christmas gift / birthday gift coming. And don't you worry, I'm taking care of you. You too, Graham. But now all that's left to do is really just get these water rooted. I do plan on just kind of sticking these in a bin so that they're, you know, away from pests and they're like pest free by the time that I bring them to California. Although all of these actually are pest free. They've been in pretty good shape, so I'm feeling good about that, but I want to keep them safe over the next 7 weeks, because the last thing I want to do is give people Christmas gifts that have pests on them, because that is kind of embarrassing. Thank you guys for watching another video and for hanging out with me. If you guys liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it helps Pudge and I a lot on YouTube. Yes, merch is still coming. Tales of the Thrift shirts are coming. I'm just working on a little bit of a redesign. I'm trying to source shirts that I really like. The last run, I felt like they were a little too stiff. I want something a little softer. But things are moving, it's just at a turtle speed. So bear with me, I appreciate your patience, and I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one.